Hey everyone, so today we're going to be talking about complex sentences, new sentence type. Complex sentences involve multiple thoughts, just like compound sentences. However, unlike compound sentences, a complex sentence is a combination of one complete thought, otherwise known as an independent clause, with at least one incomplete thought, otherwise known as a dependent clause, or sometimes called a subordinate clause. Same thing. So, what is a dependent clause? Okay, well, just like any other clause, it has a subject and a verb, but it cannot stand on its own as a sentence because it begins with what's called a subordinate conjunction. A subordinate conjunction is a word that connects two different clauses, but does so in a way that makes one clause dependent upon the other. So some common subordinate conjunctions are words like because, until, since, yada yada yada. You see the list. Now it's not a complete list, um, but the bottom, I just want to give you an idea. The bottom line is any word that changes an independent clause to a dependent clause when added to the beginning of the clause is a subordinating conjunction. Okay, so here's how subordinate conjunctions affect independent clauses. Let's take the independent clause, the day was over. Okay, so it's got a complete thought, subject, verb, put a period at the end of it, makes sense. Okay, so let's say I slap one of these subordinate conjunctions at the beginning. I do something like after the day was over or when the day was over. Okay, in this case, this independent clause now becomes a dependent clause in both scenarios. After the day was over, when the day was over, both examples of dependent clauses. They're now incomplete. Okay, those subordinate conjunctions set us up to where now, if someone just says after the day was over, we can't just put a period at the end of that because now we're expecting something else to come in and finish the thought. Okay, same thing with when. So if we just put a period at the end of this, then what we have is a sentence fragment. Subject, verb, but not a complete thought. Okay, so we can't just put a period at the end of this. In order to fix these kinds of sentence fragments, we need to make sure that dependent clauses are connected to independent clauses. So this is where subordinate conjunctions, really what their purpose is. They connect clauses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this independent clause. Everyone went to bed. And I'm going to use this as a way to fix these fragments that I have up here. I'm going to connect them. So if I connect these things, it doesn't matter whether I put it at the beginning or I put it at the end. Okay, everyone went to bed after the day was over, or when the day was over. Everyone went to. Sorry, that should say bed. Um, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how I do it, but as long as I connect it, what I've done is I've fixed the fragment, and now I have a complex sentence. I have an independent clause and a dependent clause working together to create one sentence. Okay, and the independent clause completes the idea. After the day was over, so what happened? Well, everyone went to bed. Or when the day was over, everyone went to bed. Okay, now we have a completed thought, but or a completed sentence. Okay, we have multiple thoughts working together, but one of the thoughts depends upon the other in order to really give it its meaning. Okay, so this is what we call a complex sentence. Okay, hope that makes sense.